All right. Well, let's take a look here. We're just waiting on the live to start here. And now we're showing that we're live. Perfect. So glad to see that everyone's joining in, or hopefully going to be joining in soon. Tonight we're going to be doing a modification, a classic blaster that I'd ordered parts for. This is actually going to be my fourth time doing this one. But first, I'm just waiting on people to join in because I'm going to be showing off a new product demonstration. Now, the product demonstration, of course, those of you who are not familiar, it's regarding something that's at the Big Blaster Consortium. The Big Blaster Consortium is my Etsy store, and I actually opened that up a few weeks ago. That was announced early on in June on Foam After Dark, and hey, what's up, General Strife? But back in early on in June and on Foam After Dark, it was announced by Joshua France and myself that France Foamworks was actually backing out of the business end of the hobby, and I was adopting all of his files. I'm the spiritual successor for France Foamworks. But since then, Joshua and myself have put our heads together, and through the help of one of his students, we created a product, and it's something that we feel the hobby is going to need because since there are more and more designers that are adopting the mini angled Talon magazine for primary use, because it's a really great platform for mag and grip. One of the products that Franz Foamworks used to offer before that I now I have to go find it so I can modify it now is the magazine coupler. So the magazine coupler, it acts as a way for you to be able to actually have two mags on you at one time. So you have one automatically loaded in the blaster. There's a coupler, and then on the side, it actually has another magazine. So you just eject one mag, drop it, and it still is coupled to the next magazine, and you just slap the other one in. What that prevents you from having to do is if you're carrying multiple magazines on you, you don't have to worry about, oh, I got to drop one, put it in a dump pouch, grab another one, and do that. Which we all know that when you're under fire in a Nerf battle, it's precious seconds that you have to spend reloading. That way, it cuts down your reloading time, and you're ready to go back into action. Especially if you're running full auto, such as the Venom Pro. So what we've designed was a magazine coupler that works with the Nightingale magazines. Now, the magazine coupler itself, just the development of the product, it started out with something like this. As you can see, this is actually one in green, and fits the Nightingale magazines pretty snug. It's friction fit. So once you actually put that in there, it can go side by side, and that fits into the magazine of a Nightingale or a Venom Pro. You just actually have to lower it down a little bit, and as you can see, there's nothing really there. So it starts off as, okay, this is what you're running at first. This is what you start off with, and then you have your other magazine on your Molly vest or in your dump pouch or whatever. But then we came up with the idea that what if there was a way that we could actually carry these additional? So you start with two, and then if you have more, you have more. I came up with the concept of coming up with a clip system. So we have this. Now, this right here is printed out in PLA. The final version of this is not going to be in PLA because PLA is very brittle, so this snaps. But in PETG, there's just enough bend so that you can actually lift this up and off of a belt without a problem. So you can actually literally connect this to a belt pouch, or sorry, to your belt, and you have your mags on your hip. Or if you have a vest, you can actually technically slip that down through the Molly attachment, and it's not going to go anywhere because that is tight enough and it's small enough so that it's just going to be there and it's not going to really bounce around unless you go upside down. Which, let's be honest with each other, no one really parkours when they're actually doing a Nerf battle. So that way you still have your two mags ready to go, and that's available. Yes, it is a less gear reliant system, but again, the problem though was that you had the actual clips here that they are brittle in PLA. In PETG, I feel more comfortable with, but in PLA, it's brittle and it can break. But if you do have a Molly vest, Joshua and I actually put our heads together and said, well, what if there was a way that we could actually connect this and make it so that it was more secure onto Molly? And I said, okay, I'm listening, which is something that I'm now going to adopt for other things because we created a rail system. I can't really see that. I can't really put that right here. This is actually my own design. This rail system, it slips down into the molly straps just down like that. This slips through 2 molly straps, which basically gives you a Picatinny rail that you carry on your chest. And then you just slip this on here because this is the reverse end of the Picatinny. And it slides down right here. Now, it is loose enough so that you can actually just lift it up and go. You don't have to finagle with it too much. But the rail is long enough that even if you bend over a little bit, it's not going to necessarily lift up. Now, I will warn you that if you're a heavier set person like I am, and this comes down towards the side, if your thigh hits against the bottom of the magazine, it might scoot up a little bit when you're bending over. But that is the nature of this because of the fact that you have to keep it loose. Because again, we're keeping this as a quick release system. So if you need to quickly grab your magazine off your molly vest, it's there. You don't have to finagle with having to pull too hard or anything like that. And it just drops right down. Now, when I designed this, the cool part about this is that if you are a goofy person like I am, and you like to run Picatinny rail on the side of your blasters, because a lot of blasters do have Picatinny on the side, you can technically mount this onto the pick rail on the side of the blaster as well. And as long as you're not jostling it too much, this should not fall off. I've already tested this with the Nightingale too, that has the pick rail on the side. And that way you can carry not only your Nightingale mag there, but you carry your 2 separate ones on the side as well, on either side. And you're good to go. You can literally just grab this, slap it in, and that's it. So this product, it is $5 on my store per unit, and that includes not only the rail attachment, but includes the coupler itself. I am going to also include the offer where anybody who wants to get that, they can actually get this as well, or I should say they can get the option where it's just on the belt in case they don't want to use a molly vest. But yeah, that's going to be available. So that's the new product that I'm designing. I'm really excited for this one because, again, we're starting to see a lot more blasters use the Nightingale magazines for mag and grip use. And at least that way, if you're running it as a primary, you can have more than one mag without having to worry about reloading too much on your vest or on your straps or anything like that. Hey, what's going on, Sam? I am. So if you're just joining in, I was actually showing off a new product design. I'm going to be testing these out this Sunday. Ghost and I are going to be testing this out. This is going to be something for the Nightingale, the mini angled Talon magazines. The cool part about this, though, and this was actually part of the initial design. Let me pull this one off of this one here. Is that in case you don't want to go side by side on it, because I don't know about y'all, but my fingers are kind of chonky. You actually can turn this into a flip clip system just by adjusting it as so. So when you're actually running your one Nightingale, you can actually fire off, drop it, flip it, and go like that. Well, technically this would have to be backwards, but you get the drift. So it allows you to do rapid reloads. And again, when you're under fire, every second counts when it comes to reloading. That way you stay in the game much longer. This was kind of inspired, I'll be honest with you, by what happened over at Maryland Mayhem. And Sam, you probably remember this because it was one of your teammates, I believe, where they came back after they were being, ganged up on. What was it, 4-1? And everyone else was out, advancing on them, and they were quickly having to reload stuff off their chest. So, and they managed to win. The guy actually won the round by foam rain, which fantastic on your team. So, I figure this way it would actually help them be able to reload their stuff faster, especially if they're using the mini angle talents. So, there it is. It's actually, the listing is now live on Etsy, which is the Big Blaster Consortium. These are going to be about, like I said, $5 each. Relatively cheap. That basically covers the cost of filament for the most part. And yeah, and then of course your choices of colors. I do offer it in PLA. I humbly recommend Pet G, and I'll be honest, I recommend the Pet G version only because of the fact that if you're going to be getting the belt clip version, which not going to tell you not to get it, it's a lot more durable. And you don't have to worry about the clips possibly snapping off just because of the fact that when you're in a hurry, you're not going to necessarily be gentle with it. And the Pet G is going to be less likely to, unfortunately, break off. That's the nature of the thin part here. However, if you do want PLA, I would also recommend going with the actual one that just is the Molly clip, which is the rail system that we created. That way just slides in there. And of course, I just dropped it because I was shaking around loosely. Let me go grab that. Got to find a way to make it Norman proof. But anyways, so it is made so that it's not going to fall off of here unless you go completely vertical. So as you can see, it jostles around. You know, so yeah, vertical. That's what happens. It will slide down, unfortunately. But like I said, no one's actually doing backflips or front flips during a Nerf battle. And if you are, you're way better than anyone else I've ever seen. So there you have it. But that is the product review. Do you guys have any ideas, any questions regarding about it? All right. Well, no questions. Then that's cool. Again, Big Blaster Consortium on Etsy. These are at $5 right now. And again, this was a design by Franz Foamworks and myself. So you can only find them on my store. This is not going to be something that is found anywhere else. So let's take a look here. Now, as for the modification that I'm doing tonight, did my live go down? Because suddenly I have no viewers. Doesn't show anything about any issues streaming, but that's okay. Oh, well. That's weird. It's showing that I have no viewers for some reason, but that's okay. So what we're doing tonight, of course, like I said, I've done several of these before, but this is actually the Elite Blue version, which is a rarer variant. We're going to be modifying this sucker right now, and yeah, gonna turn this into a 250 blaster. So that's all I'm working on tonight, folks. It's just to hang out and talk and shop. But oh boy, oh joy of one construction. Now, let me take a look here because I got to find my claw hammer to get this off. Should have gotten this before I went live, but oh well. Well, if I can't find my hammer, then we're going to have an issue. I hate it when I can't find my things because they just get up and walk around my desk. If not, we'll do something else. Like a flywheel modification, because that's what I'm going to have to do. Well, damn. All right. Save this one for another time. All right, so actually, never mind. We do have our hammer. Thank you, Gage. Okay. Let's get this party started. Okay, so as always, it starts with taking off this little bit right here, which, okay, well, let's see if I can't get this lifted up a little bit. Interesting. There we go. Pop right off. Okay, now my screwdriver. Now for the arduous task of course, taking off all the screws of this thing because, you know, there's only like 50-something screws in a long shot, right? Playing Arkham Knights. Who do you play as an Arkham Knight, Sam? I am. Because usually whenever I play Arkham Knights, I play as Nightwing. I haven't played Arkham Knights in a while, though. I have to go back to that game. Oh man, Arkham Asylum was a great game. I had that one for the original Xbox. Well, I should say Xbox 360. Not original Xbox. And Strife, what have you been editing, man? If you don't mind me asking. You know, I've been looking at the Boomco ones, the Batman v Superman ones. I think they're kind of really cool though. And Lori, yes, I am actually setting this one up for Half Darts. And hey, Lori, welcome to one of my lives. This one's actually being set up for Half Darts. I actually have the full worker kit in here, which would have been back in the day the Orange ModWorks Alpha and Omega kit. I'm just actually going to be combining this one rather than using the thicker 14 kilogram spring. I actually have, I believe it's the 25N Prophecy Springs that we're going to be using here, so it's a much easier prime. Yeah, Stripe, you have no idea. Like, they have so many Star Wars variants and Marvel variants. And I'll be honest, the majority of the Marvel ones are kind of eh. Some of the Star Wars ones are really good though. I'm a fan of the rival Star Wars blaster, the Stormtrooper blaster. Oh, okay, Lori's husband. Sorry, I apologize. um, yeah, the old long shots, they're great. This one's actually the Elite Blue one. I think that this was the third variant that was released, if I'm not mistaken. The first one being the Midnight Blue and the End Strike Yellow versions. Um, then they had the fourth variant technically. Then they released this one, and then Z Strike came out. And then they did the Icon series. Well, of course you have Crimson as well. So yeah, the yellow one's actually one of my favorite ones. I just like End Strike yellow coloring. This one though, I had my eye on because it was such a rare variant. You didn't really see it very often because there was almost no performance upgrade when they made it Elite Blue, so to speak. Um, I think they kept the same plunger system and everything for it. Oh, that's cool, General Stripe. I can't wait to see that video then, man. Now, anyone who's ever done one of these long shot mods, um, I cannot recommend enough upgrading it using the worker kits. As you're going to see, it's a relatively straightforward modification. There's a couple of parts to it that are a little, a little weird because it's you have to hold some things in before the spring wants to like jump out and bite you. But it's so worth it because even in 2025, to take a blaster that was designed, I want to say in 2005, 2006, out onto the Nerf battlefield and have it, be competitive, it's always a nice feeling, especially when you can do a complete sleeper build, which is what this will eventually be. Well, it's kind of funny stuff. Somebody pointed out, and I laugh that metal and rock is the preferred genre for a lot of kids who were really young in the 90s. Um, and the meme of it is, well, what got you into heavy metal? I'm like, I grew up listening to this every morning, and it was the absolute banger of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers guitar riff. I'm like, yep, that's about it. When you start off your morning with that, you're good to go. K25. I've never done a K25 in a long shot. I'll be honest with you. I'm sure that the prime on a K25 is probably easier than this one. I do have the 14 kilogram spring in my Z Strike long shot, the chubby spring. So now, Alex, you are totally misconstruing the FPS numbers. I did not hit 300 with it. I'm not Chris Cartea. I probably could if I was to wax the barrel and do the Cartea method, but I don't have the time nor the patience to use pledge on my barrels like that. No, I hit 250 FPS. Will you stop it? I hit 250 FPS. 350 is what Cartea hits with Big Blue. Now 350 is what I plan on hitting with Excalibur. Hopefully my parts will be in from that store in Washington before this weekend, so I can show off the upgraded Excalibur build at Conk. Currently, I have it hitting right around 300 with the right dart setup and the right spring setup, but it's definitely for sure a 250 blaster when I use the standard K25 spring now. So, if you don't mind me asking, can I call you Mr. Smith? You just said Lori's husband, so I apologize. Um, if you don't mind me asking, where is down here exactly? You don't have to give a city or anything, just region, I guess. Oh, Tennessee. Okay. Well, you're not too far from me. You're just, a state down south, state and a half down south. I'm in Ohio, so. I do dare ask Bill if, because I know that Lori subscribed to my channel shortly after I was at the Grafton Monster Festival. I'm wondering if that's where she, heard about me, or because I met a lot of people there, and I got a few subscribers from when I was down there. Strife, that would be just you. Actually, I didn't own a Megazord when I was younger. I did own the Tiger Zord, though. The one that I always wanted to get, though, was the Dragon Zord. And I mean the Green Dragon Zord, obviously. Green Ranger. Long live Jason David Frank. Oh, Tor the Shuttle Zord. JDF gone too soon, man. Like, I was shocked when he passed away. Okay, well, hey, man, I'm glad you're glad. Wow. Okay. Wow. My review's better. Okay. Hey, man, I take that as a badge of honor. I'll be honest with you. I don't have any issues with Wacom at all. I personally just think that my reviews are more. How can I say this? It's less. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to sell you a product. I'm here to review the product and make you make that determination. I'm giving you my real thoughts. Anybody who knows me, and I believe if Sam I am is still here and AJ's still here as well, they actually know me personally. They can honestly tell you that what you see on screen is what you get in person. I'm genuinely like, I'm 100% that guy. You know, I hate to say that. I hate to use the phrase "I'm keeping it real," but I keep it real. And I make mistakes, and I show people my mistakes. There's speaking of mistakes, part one flying. The best thing that Nerf ever did was get away from using these pieces of crap. I hate those things. All right, now we got our blasters separated. Let me get my parts. because we're going to need them. Interesting. I'm missing something here. Okay, something's missing from here. Let me find where that part went. I just had it too. Okay, well then. I am missing a major component. This is not going to be fun because without this component, this modification's not going to be able to work because what I'm missing is the metal plunger tube. And I know for a fact I have one somewhere. I know it's somewhere around here. Unfortunately, yeah. It grew legs and walked away because it wasn't my modification bin. And I'm not about to order another part. I could 3D print it. You are correct, AJ, but that would take forever. Let me see what I could do around here. Well, I got that piece there. That's not what I need. Get some of this stuff off of my desk. I know for a fact that I have this thing here. Is the worst part. Is it in one of my Coast Guard bags? Well, that is not good. I know for a fact that I had it. That's the worst part. It's got to be somewhere in my mess. Oh, things here. Looking at one of my little modification bins here. Ah. Nope. Okay, well, that's not good at all, because now without this, I cannot complete or even attempt this mod. Great. Just my luck. Bill, yes, M416. Actually, Ryan Bonnell, a buddy of mine, he actually orders from them all the time, and they've had really good success. They've actually ordered the Dianas from them, and they get here. They're very reliable. They takes about 2 weeks. But they are a very reliable shipper. Wait, don't tell me. Okay, no, it's not stuck in there. Well, this is horrible. Well, guys, I guess I'm not going to be doing a modification tonight on this one because I cannot find that plunger tube. And that plunger is what I need because this is not set up the way it needs to be in order to do this modification. Crap. Crap, 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 crap. That's horrible. I mean, yeah, that is not good at all. I hate this. I hate this at all. Oh, the GL01, the lever action, is that the one that is that has the spinning barrel? Because if you're talking about that one, if you go to Gims Mods, that's GIMSMODS. He did a review on that one recently. He actually, him and I chat very often. We actually we go in on blasters that we buy together and do reviews on. He does M416 all the time, and they're very reliable. An old Nerf Recon. You know, actually, that is on my list of mods. I do have the parts for that, but right now I have a whole mess on my table right now. I need to clean up. So maybe another live, I'll be doing a Recon CS6, like the classic yellow one. I'm gonna actually make it into a Retalicon. Regarding the Recons, though, I've done several of those. I actually have a Retalicon, a clear Retalicon that hits. Actually, this one right here. Show it off. This one actually hits right around 180, 190. So, and it's a beast of a little blaster. So yeah. Again, guys, I apologize. I wish I would have more to mod tonight, but I'm up a creek on this one right now. I'm gonna save my screws to the side so I don't put the blaster together, just in case I find this tube later on. Then I'll go back live again. But I don't foresee this happening tonight. I'm gonna have to ask my kiddo, who he usually helps me clean up my my modding area, see if he's seen that red tube, because I don't find it here. And yeah, it's kind of sad. I don't have one of the marshmallow blasters, oddly enough, but if you guys don't mind hanging around here, I might do another modification here. Give me a second. Let me actually clear this up real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. Just give me a few minutes while I move some stuff around. We'll do a flywheeler. That's always fun. I said I always have a fallback on. We can put these parts in a safe spot for when I do find my stuff. I'll know where those parts are. Those are my spring bin now. Get this one away. We'll do the Desolator. Now, the Desolator should be relatively straightforward. Hopefully, I have an XT30 connector. Let me make sure I have one of those. I hope. I have one XT30 left. Okay, well, technically we can do this modification. All right. So now, let me make sure that this is charged. My phone's charged, so let's go ahead and unplug this charger from here and charge this up. All right, so changing plans, I guess. I hate my life sometimes, guys. All right, so change of plans. We're going to be doing the Desolator. Let me go get the flywheel cage that I have for this. Which should be somewhere around here. There we go. Okay, and then we need flywheels and now, of course, the question is, what motors to put in here? I think fangs would be right in order. Set of fangs. Okay, so we have a couple of fangs revamped. And now I just got to find my actual motor screws. They're right there. All right. The skinniest raven ever. Yeah, well, I mean, not really because it's not a bullpup, but close enough. Eventually, my plan is to cut off one of these, mount this to the front of a lawbringer, and turn it into a flywheeler that's powered by a spring as well. But that'll be a different mod for a different time. Let's cut this out here. Okay, no batteries. Oh, wow. Okay, that is very skinny there. From the desolator. Now, one of the things I will be doing for this one, obviously, I will print out the expanded door for it. That's just, it's going to be a requirement for this blaster, unfortunately, because of the fact that it is such a skinny battery tray. It's kind of a demanded thing here for this in order for it to work. Now, for those who've never actually modded one of these before, the geometry on this, it's identical to the Rapid Red. So it is pretty straightforward. As General Strife said, it is a Strife clone. The geometry is completely different on the inside for a cage, but it is essentially a Strife in spirit, just a different cage geometry. The mechanics are pretty much identical. It just has the really cool transparent section where you can see stuff in. I may in the future do another one of these where I paint it up because of the fact that Doomlands, it does call for you to actually paint this and do some really cool stuff. I may be able to actually use some dry brush marker, which is basically a paint marker, and paint some really fine details on here. Just because the shell design is really cool on this thing. It's I always say that whenever anybody asks what my favorite line is of the Hasbro series, aesthetically pleasing for me, it's always been the Doomlands. I think that the Doomlands line introduced a couple of cool little concepts, such as the Lawbringer and the Negotiator, which, I mean, they didn't really do anything new except add a much bigger drum for the hammer shot. The fact that they had a hammer action rifle was really cool. And then, of course, this blaster, and then they had the Judge, which was cool concept, not the greatest execution. I personally think that the Doomlands line would have done well with a reshell of the Sledgefire or the Slingfire, because both of those could have been Doomlands blasters. And had they done a Mega Doomlands, well, Hasbro, shut up and take my money. Any blaster that comes in its own briefcase. So are you referring to uh the the X shot Doomhammer, or are you referring to the Rebel one, which is the secret whatever, the purse one? Hmm. That screws too deep. Find a screwdriver that fits down in there. Come on, I should be able to fit in there. Maybe. So naturally, because of the fact that I do reviews, Hasbro is always going to get a little bit of my money. The only ones that I'm really excited to spend any money on upcoming is the Arctic 0 point and the Galactic Hero or Galactic Commander, whatever it is. Only because, and Bill, I know that you just subscribed to me recently, but I revealed it earlier. I was actually part of the Hasbro playtest group that got to see the new N series line before they even announced it at the Toy Fair. So the Arctic 0 point, which is set to launch sometime within the next month or so, it's already been released in Australia. I got to see that last year. I want to say back in May. I didn't get to hold it in my hands or anything like that, but I got to actually see the design for it and give feedback on it, as well as the Galactic Hero or Galactic Commander, whichever one they're calling it now. So I can't technically claim credit for this, but the feedback I gave them was make a select fire, which they did, and make sure that you have magazine storage in the stock, and that it comes with 2 mags, which it does. At least the Galactic Commander does. So, I'm gonna toot my own horn and say that that was my idea that I gave to Hasbro and that they listened. But odds are they probably got that same idea from other people. So who knows? It's just a common sense idea. So General Strife, I cannot confirm nor deny that I may have about 600 of those half darts that were purchased recently. I can neither confirm nor deny that I liquidated the entire stock at 2 targets. So the blink. So here's the problem, AJ, is that not all targets carry the blink. None in my area actually carry them in store, except for one, and it is $27.99 is what I saw over at a store in California. That's what I saw posted in. So if you can see one, I humbly recommend picking it up. I am not a fan of the blink. I do own one. My issue with the blink is that there's nothing that the blink does that my Phoenix 2 doesn't do better. Now the blink is less expensive than the Phoenix. However, I will tell you that the Phoenix outperforms the blink when it comes to the rate of fire, which is what counts in full auto. Now, it's not a bad blaster. There's just nothing that it does that makes me say, oh, this is the most amazing thing ever. However, If anyone is looking for a good full auto blaster, I recommend it. I will also tell you that much like the Nerf Sender, at $27, it's worth it for the flywheels alone. The reason being is because, and I'll explain this. The geometry for the wheels are Band Blaster wheels. In fact, Band Blasters gave feedback on the design. So it is a Strife compatible cage, is what I've heard. So basically for $27, you get a Band Blasters cage, Band Blasters flywheel, and motors. And then if you are able to actually take everything out, you get the lipo, you get the speed adjuster circuit board, and you could literally just with some creative modding put that into a Strife, and there you go. You have a full auto select speed fire Strife that you can actually control the FPS and the rate of speed on it. Then go get it, guys, because the blink for that the blink is good. But again, the if I had to pick between the blink and my Phoenix, my Phoenix wins hands down because modded the Phoenix will go 200 plus FPS, and I can empty out an entire mag in like less than 2 seconds. The blink does not go that fast. What is going on here? Do I have an extra screw that's holding this in? That's rotating freely. That's rotating freely. Can they solvent weld this thing? Is there a hidden clip in here? What's going on here? There we go. You little punk. Get out of there. Great, we got a screw that's just stuck in here right now. There we go. There's that screw. No, AJ, you're not at collector status yet, but a couple more trips to Columbus, and I'll offload enough that you could say you're a collector status. You'd be doing me a favor. Say my MLC around, my friend. See you on Sunday, hopefully. Bill, you're a much smarter man than I am. I've got an entire garage, and the missus is not happy half the time. That's the screw that's stuck. There you are. There we go. All right, now get that screw out of there. Okay. So there we have the blaster on the inside. All right, so first thing I will tell you that's weird about this blaster is the way that it opens up. The battery tray is upside down compared to most strifes. Normally, if the blaster clamshells like uh, this battery tray would be the other way. So given that the battery tray is upside down, that's going to makes life interesting here. But we'll see what we can do. Of course, we have the traditional setup here for the cage, and this should not be too difficult here because we have our. Let's go and actually take this out for now. We have our locks here. Hush you! My dog's barking at me. Then of course we have a lock here and an electronic lock back here, which is the rev trigger. So right here we're going to be able to fit another rev trigger. Let's get one of these set up. I have just one of my Vicors here. This is actually a 15A switch, or I'm sorry, no, this is a 12A switch. No, actually, no, it's a 10.1. So this actually is a weaker switch, however, compared to the Omron switches, but it will work. These do not burn out as easily as people say they do. I've run these several times. They're okay. And they work really well when you have a tight fitting grip, which this one looks like there's actually plenty of space in the grip that if I wanted to use an Omron switch, I could, but I don't feel like I'm going to have to with this one. So let's go ahead and actually clear this stuff out. We have a wiring guide here. Okay, so wow, okay. This has a lot more screws than I thought it was going to have on the inside. I'm okay with this. Get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to need to actually get rid of this as well. Yeah, technically, I could, with the right design, turn this into full auto. But I do not have the full auto gearbox. But I should be able to fit something right there. And this is a Strife pusher. October 24th through the 25th, I'm going to the Goucher HVZ. Okay, all right. I will run that by the missus. Is this an HVZ that you're running, or is this an HVZ that you're just going to? Damn it. Well, that spring just went flying. All right. Okay. And that screw just went flying. Fantastic. All right. Well. Okay. Okay, now we've got these right here. Now, if I really wanted to, I could probably print out a long dart pusher or short dart pusher here and turn this into a half dart compatible flywheel blaster. But you know what? I think I'm just going to keep this one as a long dart or standard dart because why not? Okay, so all right, there we have that out. Let's get this sucker out of here as well. Okay. And we don't need this in here either anymore. Okay. All right. So now let's get my lucky soldering pen here. Gonna desolder this wire from here and from here. And that way we'll have all this ready to go ahead and actually cut open and modify. I'm gonna probably yank out the connectors here for the battery tray. Honestly, I may actually just end up cutting out this entire battery tray because now that I see where the pusher lays compared to the actual battery tray, if I hollow out the battery tray and just leave this gap open, this should, in theory, allow me to utilize a battery without having to print out an expanded battery cover. In theory. Now, Bill, since you're tuning in for the first time on one of my lives, I believe, we get to play a fun game tonight. AJ You know what game it is, and the answer is: will I or will I not burn myself with a hot soldering iron? Or will I not burn myself on the live? Hmm. Oh, that's where that goes. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Well, that part was not necessary, anyways. So let's see here. So I'm thinking the same thing. However, the battery that I intend on using, it's a shallow battery. I'll have to get one from upstairs. So it might work without the expanded battery tray, but we'll see. If I do it and it works without an expanded battery tray, it works. If not, I just print on an expanded battery tray, and that's not difficult to do. Um, I have two 3D print jobs that are going on right now. Unfortunately, my white filament, which is what I would use, is being utilized right now. Though I could probably get away with using black. Um, I mean, unfortunately, both of my big printers are working right now. Actually, they should be working right now. What's going on with this one? Oh, there we go. So, all right, let's get to the fun part. Hey, let go of that. Let go of that. All right. Okay, these are fangs. Let's go positive here. And thought I cleared out the support on this, but I guess not. Okay. Where are my screws at? Here they are. um, wait, hold on. Let me get my glasses on so I can read the chat because I just sort of saw. Sorry about language. These are actually fangs. They're not Valkyries or Krakens. I normally do not use Valkyries. I try to stick with either Fang revamped or Krakens or even Lokis. Though I saw some recently that I may try to get a hold of because I do like to experiment and you know um, Planet Mind Play Lab. If you don't mind me asking, have you ever watched one of my lives before or? Because you're actually a new name here, and that's fine. I actually welcome all new viewers. Oh, General Strife, dude, come on, man. Look, come on, dude. look at whose channel you're on, right? I don't curse on my videos, but you've seen me on Foam After Dark. You know what I'm like on that chat. You know the innuendos that fly out of my freaking fingers. Anyone who's a part of the gentry of Extraordinary Foam Flingers chat knows just what the hell I'm capable of saying. Okay, well, hey man, welcome to my live. So when because I do a lot of stuff on live that you don't see on my vids. Generally I like to experiment with stuff and do things that a lot of players don't try to do when they mod, because the hobby tends to stay safe when it comes to the motors that we use. So we use Valkyries, we'll use Rhino, we'll use Hellcat. They'll use the Wolverine motors. I actually have seen recently on AliExpress some motors there that I'm willing to give a shot based on the specs that I've seen, because I want to see if I can get a lesser cost motor that has higher specs on it just to see how they work. What I'm talking about is that, for example, Merlin motors, which are Flywheel of the World motors, the FTW Merlins and the Lokis, are capable of hitting really high RPMs, and they're, with high RPMs, obviously you can use them for micro flywheel builds and whatnot. I've used Lokis on standard size flywheels with some success, which flies in the face of what Out of Darts will tell you to do. And look, I don't want to judge Out of Darts or anything. I'm not going to talk bad about Luke Goodman or anything, but I want to experiment myself and try to push things to the limit. Again, this is nothing against Luke's advice, because he wrote the book on blaster mods. But I've been able to do things that go against recommendations, and I've actually had some success. So when someone tells me, "Oh, well, don't try those flywheels because you never know," I'm willing to do things for science. And I say this because at 72,000 RPMs, which is what you can get with Merlin flywheels, or sorry, 74 thousand RPMs, when I see a motor that promotes 90,000 RPMs, um, I want to try those out and be like, hey, let's see what happens, especially if they only cost like $4 a pop. So if I can get them shipped over from China and I can try them out, be like, hey, let's see what this is about. I'm sure the torque's probably going to be shit on them, but whatever. At $4, it's $4. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does, I got a pretty good new source of motors. Takes a little longer to deliver, but they'll get here eventually, and I can buy them in bulk. Speaking of buying in bulk, I am working on something for those who follow the Etsy store, the Big Blaster Consortium. By the way, if you've not checked out that store, I recommend doing so. I do have things that are for sale there. Come on, get out. There is going to be a new product hopefully soon here. I'm in the process of working the details out. But it's a new blaster, and I will be the only person selling it in the US. And to give you an idea, it is a Springer that is very high powered. I have not shot one yet. However, based on the write-ups that I've seen on it, it's going to be rivaling high performance caliber blasters, and maybe even a saber blaster. So when that happens, I'll be making a general announcement. I'll be the exclusive print shop for it. And yeah. I'll just say that this was a blaster that was offered to a major company, and they turned it down because they couldn't get it to their. I guess apparently they couldn't reach their timeline or whatever the heck they wanted to say. But so I guess that mounts upside down. All right. Hmm. So I believe that this is a 40 millimeter crush cage. I try not to do 39.5 unless I'm going to be using a half darts. Because this will allow me to actually utilize waffle tip darts without it destroying the darts themselves. Now, as regards to the flywheels, that is where I'm going to let you, the viewer, decide because I have a couple of flywheel options. So we can do. What do I got here? What do I got here? I got worker standards, take infernos. All right, so all right. All right, guys. So I'm gonna let you all decide. I got the worker standard blacks with the angled tread. I have the containment crew inferno flywheels. Or I got another set of workers. These are actually really nice. Oh, wait, no, these aren't the ones that I was looking for. Oh, there we go. Worker aluminums. So I can either do the red worker aluminums, the black workers, which is the same treading, the infernos, and there is actually one more. These are the ones for Survival Fest 2025. These are actually just smooth, more like HPZ friendly flywheels. I'm hesitant to use these on a non-HPZ build, but you know, whatever. All right. Looks like we're seeing Infernos. All right, let's do Infernos then. Let's get the Infernos on here. We'll save the aluminium for another build. Let's go and actually get these back into my flywheel box. So I'll be honest with you, I'm actually going to be building a Lepus or Lepus here soon. I need to get the part, the N20 motor in, and when I do, I'll probably use the aluminum on that. Let's clear out the supports from this. Okay, if you don't mind me asking, who are you applauding me as a science teacher or? And also, Bill, let me just say that the fact that you're a science teacher is awesome. I hope, and I'm not telling you how to do your teach your class. I don't know what kind of science you teach, but I hope that you actually take the Nerf hobby and use that as a way to inspire your students, the way that I've inspired my son. Because STEM skills are important, and you learn a lot by modding blasters about math and science as well, and physical sciences, I should say. Um, what is going on here? Yeah, give me a second and I'll post one in the chat. Give me a second. Let me actually go to Etsy really quick, guys, and I'll get a link to my store. Oh, come on. Give me the link. All right, here we go. Sorry, guys. I'm doing keyboards command as if I'm on a Windows computer and I'm actually using a Mac. So there we go. All right, there you go. That is the link to the store. There you will find the featured thing, which is the AccuSaber that currently is on sale. Um, I also have one glow saber printed out, and I also have the option for people who want to buy a custom printed blaster. They can actually do that. The custom printed blasters are any of Slug's designs, as well as the Hidolfer, the H. That's the full auto build. Hidolfer, it's a standard $200 fee for that one, only because of the fact that it's a much more complicated build than any of the Slugs designs. And as anyone will tell you that has handled any of my blasters, basically AJ will tell you, when I build my 3D printed blasters, they're built very solidly, and they do actually have a lifetime guarantee on any of the 3D printed parts. So, for example, if you're handling the blaster and for some reason it drops and a piece breaks, the 3D printed piece breaks, you shoot me an email and I will go ahead and actually reprint the part that broke, send it out to you. All you're going to pay is for the shipping for the part, which is not going to be very much. And I'll basically replace it for free outside of just shipping, because I stand by the quality of my work and the quality of what I build. So, yeah. Which, for the record, I will tell you that there is not a single store out there that has that kind of a guarantee. Even Out of Darts doesn't do a full lifetime guarantee on their prints. Okay, there's still a support in there. And 9 times out of 10, if I'm actually building a blaster for somebody, I actually do it via live, so people actually get to see it being built. When I did the Hidalfer, for the most part, I was doing a lot of the builds live, so people got to see the frustration that I had with it. So, yeah. Now, for those who are watching, I will tell you that there's a new product, and I showed it off earlier at the start of the live. If you're tuning in now and you haven't seen the recap yet of the live, this is the new product that's available on the store. This is actually a magazine coupler that works with the mini angled Talon magazines that's found with the Venom Pro, as well as the Nightingale. There's actually a couple of options. There is the one that actually is a belt clip. As you can see, that just clips onto a belt. Technically, you can also clip it onto Molly as well. And then there's the one that goes onto a Molly attachment point, which, well, just to give you an example of how it works, there is a clip that you put onto your Molly, which will have a rail of sorts on it and a stopper at the bottom of it. And then this piece just slides right down the actual rail. This is a thicker piece of rail, so the dimensions do not match necessarily. But if I had the clip, I'd be able to show you. It's somewhere on my desk now. Nope, that's not it. Right here. Okay. So this basically would just slide in and down the rail like so. And that's clipped onto your vest. So that way, unless you're going upside down, it does not fall out. And then you just literally just take that up with the magazine, you take that off, put one side into your blaster, you have the other side that's either side by side with the handle, or you actually use it as a flip clip. So you drop it, flip it, slap it back in, and you're good to go. It allows you to rapid reload. That's actually from the genius of France Foamworks, Joshua France, who helped me to design this. And I actually modified the design to actually include the rail option of it. These are about $5 on the store. Yeah, I mean, seriously, dude. Like, if you, and by the way, Bill, if you're in Tennessee, if you ever want to do something where I can explain the modding process to the students, I have no problem doing that. Like I said, I do a lot of philanthropical work, especially with younger kids, because I am a dad, and I'm all about that life. So I see where this is a valuable tool for kids, and for adults as well, for teaching purposes. So that's not, that's not something that I'm completely against. Um, okay, so this actually, yeah, this goes this way. No, that goes like that. All right. Okay, now let's get to wiring, because that's the next big part here. We got the black wire. Oh yeah, I mean, well, the cool part about for math with this, um, you can actually I mean, hell, basic arithmetic, learning about averages. So, for example, averaging the FPSs, you can teach them about that, and that's just running it through a chronograph and getting the average number based on all the numbers that are shot. Obviously, I don't have to teach you how to do averages, but you know what I mean. Um, so you have that aspect of things. You have the knowledge of, hey, guesstimating what the average FPS is based on the motors that you use and the flywheels that you use, because that's all formulaic as well. Um, and then you can also learn about unit of measurement conversions, because here in the US, we utilize FPS as the standard measurement, but in other countries they use joules, which is a much more accurate determination of what's a good what's a good blaster to use and what isn't, because there are some blasters that 150 FPS with an ultra dart is not the same as 150 FPS with a mega dart that is with a elite dart or mega XL. So okay, now my soldering wire is all the way up here. Oh, this is where I burnt the soldering wire. Okay, well, that's not good. Great. That soldering wire is busted. Okay, well, I did buy a new one recently, so should be able to just pull that out from here. I was hoping I had more soldering wire left, but rest in peace, soldering wire spool. My wife got this for me Christmas 2023, and yeah, it lasted me about a year and a half. What the heck? Okay, here we go. All right, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that one there. That's the weirdest soldering wire I've ever used before. Okay, well, this is what happens when you go on the cheap, I guess. It definitely solders, I guess. I don't know if it solders well, but it solders. It melts. It says it's rosin core. I don't know if I believe that necessarily. Yep, no, that's crappy soldering wire. Son of a bitch. Come on. Oh, this is horrible. This is not good soldering wire at all. This is what happens when you buy stuff on the cheap, y'all. Let's see if this works. This is cheap solder. What in God? What the fuck? What in God's name soldering wire is this? Oh my God, this is crap. So what happens when you order soldering wire from Wish? Actually, it's not from Wish. It's from AliExpress. What the fuck? Ow. Ow. The heat on this is ridiculous. I am definitely gonna end up burning myself. This is the shittiest soldering wire I've ever bought before in my life. Okay, so normally my soldering jobs do not look this crappy, but this wire is absolute dog shit. Oh my God. Wow. Oh, this is horrible. This is horseshit. Oh my God. This is the worst soldering wire I've ever. This. Do yourself le favor and don't buy this piece of shit. Oh my God. This is horseshit. What the actual fuck? Oh man. Okay, so if you've never watched my channel before, and I apologize to you guys, you know that I'm frustrated when I drop an F bomb in a live stream, and this soldering wire is frustrating. It's supposed to be pre-fluxed rosin cord solder, and it even says it's 2% rosin, or sorry, 2% flux in the core, and yeah, it is worse to connect than my lead-based soldering wire. I'd rather play with lead, for God's sakes. Oh my gosh, what a good lord. Yeah, made in the land of I don't want to say the land of the rising sun because that's Japan, but yes, it's rosin core made with Chinesium. Oh my gosh. Not Hong Kong, more like Hong Wong or Hong Rong. Well, they say you're not supposed to use lead because it's dangerous and whatnot. But ask anyone who was raised by a boomer like yours truly. Um, we drank water out of the hose. That's the thing with Gen X. We lived through all the crap that the boomers lived through. We're just not a bunch of Karens. We just don't give a shit. Oh man, Crystal Pepsi was the shit. We lived through Crystal Pepsi, Surge, you know, the tail end of the Cold War, duck and cover drills, which are becoming the thing again, I guess, because, things. Oh man, so General Strife, nothing quite like when you're a kid learning about the horrors of atomic annihilation outside of playing the video game Fallout, and being lied to and say, "Oh, you might survive if you duck and cover your head underneath your school desk," only to then realize, as an adult, that the reason they wanted you to duck and cover was because that way you made a better silhouette, so they could identify that, oh, that was a kid, in case you were, vaporized by an atomic blast. What the heck is that going to do? Absolute fuck all nothing. But they do help to identify where there was a body at, because if you look at the old footage from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and actually that you can still see certain places if you go visit those cities in Japan, there's shadows that were left, imprints of where people were standing when the bomb blast happened, because that's all that was left was their shadows. They were vaporized, and you're able to see based on how wide the footsteps were, where the people were standing, if they were walking, and whatnot. It's actually really tragic. I if For a good educational documentary on that, I highly recommend a documentary called Atomic Cafe. It tells you this entire story about the atomic bombs and the research done and the testing done afterwards. It's kind of scary actually when you think about it. I'm glad they're actually finally teaching that stuff now in schools because they didn't really teach much of that when I was in school. It was very much a sensitive subject, and they didn't want to. I don't want to say that they didn't want to teach the truth about it. They just didn't think it was appropriate to teach the truth because, well, let's just put it this way. There's an initiative to teach kids in America to love America, and look, that's whatever. I'm all about teaching you the truth, and you determine how much you want to love your country, which I think you should be able to love your country. But part of that is acknowledging that your history includes some fucked up shit. And to say that the U.S. never did any, messed up things to people, that's pretty much a lie. Let's just call it for what it is. And that's okay. It's okay to say that you did something bad. You learn from the truth. Oh, so to the motors fit? No, you should not have to cut the shell because, and we'll show this side of the shell here. This actually raises up over here, so that should fit. These are 130 motors, so that should fit. Now, though, comes the fun part. Do the motors spin properly the way that they're wired, or do I have to reverse the polarity of the wiring? Let me grab my LiPo bag. Oh, God. I'll do a test. Now it comes for the other fun part. Does Normatico shock the shit out of himself? Well, let's see which way that spins. It's not going to work with that one. Let's take a look at this one. Try this one now. Okay, so they are spinning the right way. So black on black, red on red. All right, that works. Ooh, Oak Ridge Laboratories. Fun. Okay. All right, so AJ, yes, depending on which setup you have, red would go in the front, black would go in the back. However, this is actually a upside down strife, so technically red goes in the back now. Yeah, it's weird. So that's fine. Now we can go ahead and solder the negative here. Go from there. Prime this wire up. Yes, yes, indeed, shotgun. Everything is a strife. Except for the barricade and the Raven. Which, that actually might be my next mod. I might do a barricade next time. So AJ, it's funny. The boxer I'm excited for because it's $25, but I'm uh I'm hesitant to pull the trigger on it because, and mind you, I'm not. I'll get it to review, obviously. Um, I already have three blasters that do what the boxer does. One is the 2.1, the other is the 2.0, the third is the Viper. And the Viper is perfection as far as I'm concerned when it comes to half dart uh, pump action Springer for a pistol format. The only thing that the Brute will do. Oh no, you want the boxer. You want the boxer. That's the eight. That's the flywheeler. Um, the only thing the Brute though that's the one that people are talking that I was referring to is going to do that the other boxers that I'm listing don't do is take Nightingale mags. Now, I will say though, outside of the I will say that the oh my gosh. How did my brain oh, I will say, AJ, that the little blaster you brought me the other day, um, I got around to chronoing it, and I'm gonna do a review on it. I got 90 FPS with that thing with just AA batteries. So that is a very decent blaster for a knockoff Matrix Fire. Are you not? Or are you not melting? Oh shoot, my battery died on this thing. No wonder. No wonder my soldering iron is not heating up. It's not charged. Great. Fantastic. Yay. Oh boy. Let's plug you in. There we go. Are you gonna heat up or what? Really? All right. Well, while this charges for a moment. Oh, this is an absolute shit show of a night, folks. Missing one part. Crappy soldering wire for another part. And now my soldering iron needs to charge for a little bit. Murphy's Law in full effect, right? You know? Murphy's Law with what I learned to call the Cato addendum. Are you serious? Are you really going to be in town, AJ? You're shitting me. So Shotgun, you and I used StreamYard before, and I I'm okay with it. I do like the fact that I can stream fine here, and if I end up showing a real steel weapon or a real steel blaster, YouTube's not going to kick my live, which is always nice. But yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny because I was going to be using StreamYard here soon. Um, I know that we're going to be. I don't want to say going. I got a message earlier today, and I know that one of our beloved shows is going to be going on. It may go on a hiatus here soon, only because one of the hosts is a little, overwhelmed and tired. And what I wanted to do in return, and I would love to actually have this happen, is that I'd love to get a panel, discussion going on once a week, where we just talk about has hobby stuff. And StreamYard's going to be the way to do it, where we can actually get a couple people on here for an hour or so, and we'll just get together and chat. We'll either vid chat or whatever. We'll make a show of it, where we come up with a couple of topics of conversation prior to the show, and we shoot the breeze. Um, that's something that I'm thinking about doing, and we can use my channel as a host, and as a hosting site for it. You know, um, and I'll post it into the Gentry chat, and we'll just call it the war room chat, or the situation room kind of a thing, where we talk hobby stuff for a couple hours. Uh, I reckon that this will be almost like a live stream chat version of the chat that happens on the Foam After Dark chat, while the hosts are talking. But except it's going to be us just live streaming and shooting the breeze. So, that way we get to interact with each other in the hobby. We can talk about subjects such as, blasters, new releases, things that we're excited for, modifications that we've seen. Um, we can do it on a Sunday then. I mean, Sundays are fine, and Tuesdays are fine too. So AJ, the good thing is that I could literally send you the link as a side chat via Messenger to basically stream in. All you would have to do is create a YouTube channel for yourself, which that's free. And as long as you have a camera available, you can log in. It's going to be basically almost like a Zoom call type thing. But the point is, this is going to be allow anybody to be get in there. So Stripe, unfortunately, I believe, and mind you, don't quote me on this because it's not been confirmed. However, I know that our good friend, the Bots and Blasters, he reached out to me and he did advise me that he may be taking a little, temporary break from the hobby. So I think that Foam After Dark might be put on hold. He'll be back in August, kind of a thing. It's not going to be a long hiatus, but I think he might be taking a little bit of a break. But again, it is what it is. We all need a break from the hobby sometimes, and I don't fault him for it. It's not anything that anybody did. It's just he needs some time. So, oh boy. Now, what I will tell you guys though, let me show you, grab it real quick. This is the little knockoff matrix fire that I was referring to. You know, digging the yellow color, digging the fact that it has a detachable barrel, which is really nice. And for a quote unquote Chinese knockoff, it hits 90 FPS. This buttstock is actually from one of the X Shot Clipmanias. So decent little blaster. So, Steph, it is fun. Let me tell you, when I was on Foam After Dark, the first time I was super nervous, like ridiculously nervous. That was when they reached out to me through AJ to see if I wanted to be on Foam After Dark, and I was like, sure, yeah. I mean, why would you want to talk to me? Like, who the hell am I in the hobby, kind of a thing. Um, I didn't realize that my channel had gotten that attention, and I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. I've always thought of myself as like that low key, like, hey, I'm just doing this for fun, kind of a thing. I'm not doing this for notoriety. Um, and afterwards, I started to get more name recognition. I'm like, well, damn, I guess people know who the hell I am. All right, okay, that works. Um, yeah, and now it's like, okay, after that, then that built to um people being like, hey, France Foamworks wants to talk to you. I'm like, all right, let me see what the heck this is about, which led to me being the spiritual successor to France Foamworks. So I guess I'm doing something right, that people look at me and they're like, hey, we can trust him, he's trustworthy, which that's the way I like to be. I'd like to be a straight shooter on things. And yeah, it's kind of funny how it works. Yeah, it's kind of funny, AJ. You are well connected in the hobby. Like, a lot of people know you. Um, Even though, like, they know of you, which is the funny part. And I'm like, okay, all right, you know, that's cool. So yeah, it's kind of funny. What's really going to be interesting now is that I have hey, what's going on, Adam? Speaking of streaming, Fowler, dude, man, welcome to the podcast first. So we're working on. I'm waiting on my soldering iron to recharge. But I'm working on a what was it, the not the demolisher, the desolator, That's what I'm working on. And I it was supposed to be a long shot, but my freaking plunger tube, the aluminum plunger tube, disappeared from my mod bed, so I gotta find it somewhere in the mess that is my Nerf room right now. And when I do that, I'll be able to go ahead and actually modify that. This is that long shot that you picked up and you sent me. Um, but there's that. Um, Bill, yes, the knockoff Matrix Fire is it is a conveyor belt feeder. Also, Fowler, listen, what you were missing earlier, um, at the beginning of the live, I actually introduced a new product that I'm going to be having on the actually, it already is listed on the Big Blaster Consortium. It is the mag coupler. Look at that closer to the camera. This is for actually mini angled Talon magazines. There's actually three variants of it. You have one that's just a coupler. Then you have one that has the belt clip on it. So if you wanted to clip it onto a belt or even onto Molly, you can. This is actually PLA. I would print those only in PET G because of the fact that the clips are very it's a very brittle filament, so they, one good hard yank and these clips will be knocked off. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just it's a fail point, unfortunately. Um, and then there is the one that is with a rail attachment. This allows you to clip onto a Picatinny rail based clip that goes into a molly, and it slips down, and it's not going to shake loose when you're running. The only way it's going to fly off is if you flip over, and even then it's still kind of stuck there right now, but it would fall off because of gravity. But how many people do you know go upside down? I don't know very many people that go upside down in Nerf. Now, if this was Special Forces and this was actually real steel, different story, but no. In a Nerf battle, I don't know a single person that goes upside down. So, but yeah. So that way you can actually quickly take off your extra magazines. You go side by side in the magwell, or you can make it into a flip clip. And there you go. These are actually for $5, depending on which variant you want. It's still going to be $5, and they're available on my store. And I offer them in your color option, and in PLA and PET G. Yeah. So I might be doing a special on them where if you buy 3, you get 1 free. So basically, 4 for 15 kind of a thing. So there's that. All right, now let's see if this actually is. Am I frozen? I was just reading the chat. Are y'all still there? Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, okay. Sorry. No, I was just staring. Yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can find one at the at a Target nearby. Most Targets don't carry them on the shelf where I live, so I'm gonna see. I mean, there's one that usually has them in the back stock area, and if they do, I'll try to get one. Maybe I'll try to hide it, only because of the fact that trying to save up money to upgrade my living situation, guys. So blasters might be on hold for a little bit. Where the hell did that wire go? It was. Wow, this really is the crappiest soldering wire I've ever had in my life. This is ridiculous. Oh my god. It doesn't just it oh my gosh. It won't reconstitute with heat. It will not reconstitute with heat at all. This is wow. This is the shittiest soldering wire ever. Fuck. Ah. Oh my god. Don't ever buy this brand soldering wire. Do yourselves that favor. You heard it here first, folks. This is crappy soldering wire. Oh man, this is the birth of my origin. This is my villain origin story right here. Is with this soldering wire, guys. Oh man, this is where I lose my shit. You want to know how I got these burn scars? I'll tell you. One time I was doing a live and I burnt the shit out of myself with bad soldering wire. Hey, what's up, Andy Griff? Yep. Come on, get on there. This wire is crap. Okay, I'm gonna have to cancel this. I can't do this. I can't deal with this crap anymore. It's not. Gonna go out to Harbor Freight tomorrow and buy some actual solder. I can't do this. No, I can't. I can't. I give up. I can't. I can't. Nope. Not doing this. Sorry, guys. I cannot do this. This soldering wire is shit. Throwing that shit away. This no. This soldering wire, so Andy, this soldering wire I got off of AliExpress. and I thought I was getting a good deal because it's supposedly rosin core. It's 2% flux on the inside the core. First of all, when it burns, it smells like fish. It literally smells like a damn fish market when the smoke comes up, which is bleh. Second of all, it doesn't reconstitute once it gets solid. So it beads up, a lot, and it's useless. It's shitty soldering wire. I mean, unfortunately, this one is stuck in there. I wonder if I can get some solder. Get this to. Oh, there we go. Hold on. I might be able to do something with this. This one messed up for me. Let me see what I can do with this. Haha. I might be able to make this work. This unfortunately got burnt. This is the soldering wire that my wife got me for Christmas 2 years ago. So let's see what we got here. Hold on. Might be able to do this still. Let's see if I can get this to work. Let's see if I can get this to work, guys. Hold on. If this works this time, I'll keep it going. Where the hell did my wire go now? That's good here. See, hopefully this soldering wire will connect to the other solder that I have. So what regulates that actually, Bill, is the spread from the center of the wheel itself, from the motor itself. So when they say it's a 39.5, that means that let me see here, from the center of this motor, from the center of this motor to the center of this motor is 39.5 millimeters. So let me see if I have my caliper here. There we go. That's what would make that determination. So roughly, oh crap, nothing's working today. I'm about to give up on life today, Jesus. So from there to roughly there is 40 millimeters, give or take. That's how you measure that. And that is where you measure what the crush is. So when someone says that they're having a 40 millimeter crush cage, that's what that means. Now, what I will tell you though is that, oh god damn it. This thing's just not wanting to charge at all. Let this charge again for a little bit. Anyways, quick lesson on flywheels. So with motors and flywheels, motors help out. The stronger the motor, the better, obviously. but they only help to a certain point. The crush ultimately is what determines how fast the dart goes because the wheels grip the dart and then they yeet it out. Um, Best way to describe it is that you can have two pairs of smooth flywheels, and if they're spread too far apart, no matter the crush, no matter the motor, the flywheel's only going to grip the dart so much. So when you have a tighter crush, you get a tighter grip on the dart. For example, let me grab a, here we go. So for example, the tighter the grip of the dart, the more power it's going to get behind that flywheel and the faster it's going to yeet it out. So it works like that. Very much the same way that with a Springer, the tighter the barrel up to a certain point, the faster the dart's going to go out because the air, it creates a better seal and it just shoots it all behind the dart. So it's similar to that in logic. Oh yeah, Andy, I already did that. I did that earlier in the stream, actually. Yeah, well, it wasn't motherfucker. It wasn't MF that hurt. It was MF that's hot. And that's because the soldering wire that I was using was absolute bullshit. Sorry, man. By the way, I like the zombie patch. AJ gave me one of the ones that you gave to him. I like that. It's going in my loadout. That's though. I got a special patch for y'all. This patch is going on my loadout kit. Yep. I am gonna. Oh wait, hold on. Go to my patch. So I will be putting that up on my channel. I'm actually going to be doing a patch review type thing. I'm waiting on a patch to get from Gibbsbots, and then I'm going to just highlight different patches that are in my loadout and go from there. So yeah, the F bomb patch. It's kind of funny because that design I have a special history with. My wife a couple of years ago, she loves to crochet, and she made a design for a bomb, like a classic cartoony bomb with the letter F on it. And this was mid COVID when we were spending a lot of time indoors, and it was constant F bombs being dropped between her, myself, the child. It was and look, I have a 12-year-old, and I don't mind if he curses in the house as long as he doesn't do it at school. That's fine. So occasionally here it's like like what the f, oh f this, f that, f the sun, f everything. Um, you know, it's kind of our morning mantra is like, oh fuck my life kind of thing. What fresh fuckery awaits us today kind of a thing. So we had the f bombs that we would just if we were upset at somebody, we just throw the f bomb at each other and be like, hey, f you kind of a thing. Came as more of a kinetic joke. So yes, tighter the grip, the more traction on the dart, the better. Also, I will tell you, with flywheels, the more you use them, the more dart dust accumulates on the flywheel, the better the next shot's going to be. So, for example, when you have fresh flywheels, it's always going to be a slower shot. But as dust accumulates on the flywheel and you want that dust, it's going to get a better grip on the darts in the future and yeet them out even faster. We're talking like not too much. We're talking like maybe 5 or 6 FPS at the most. But dart dust is important. That's why, for example, if you ever buy a used blaster that's a upgraded blaster with upgraded flywheels, and you see dart dust on the flywheels, do not clean them off. That's like cleaning off the seasoning from a cast iron skillet. Just don't do it. You reseason it properly. So it's kind of funny because I realized that there are a lot of patch goblins everywhere now. I was so I have no problem letting y'all know this. I work with one of the military branches, go Coast Guard, and I was at an air show recently where we had stuff to give away, like shirts, bags, bookmarks, things like that. And one of the things that we don't have usually are patches, because that's Coast Guard marketing doesn't give us those to give away. Um, and there were a lot of people asking us if we would sell them patches, and I'm like, listen, I'm not selling you anything because we're not allowed to sell you anything. I can give you some swag for free, but I can't sell you anything, and we don't have patches anyways. So it's like, but apparently, like all the other military branches have like patches that they can give away, and I'm like, okay, well that's kind of cool. So, um, but there were a lot of people that were just there to collect patches from different vendors and stuff. I'm just like, oh, okay, patch goblins. And no, Strife, do not snort the dart dust. No. Yeah, which AJ, I would never, ever, 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 ever be able to get away with using that as a patch for my work. Um, that is a surefire way to get me fired. Like straight up contract revoked, escorted out. No, 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 no. That would not get approved by the command marketing team ever. No, no, not at all. They're very strict when it comes to marketing stuff. Like I yeah, I have to be very careful with any things that I do, like any events that I set up for them to attend to. I have to be very careful with. Yeah, so many recruits, all right. Yeah, wrong kind of recruits. Yeah, guys, that's not exactly the publicity I want. In case y'all wondering what I do for a living, I actually handle event outreach for the enlisted service members. I'm a civilian. I'm not actually enlisted, but I handle outreach for them and to help get them to do speaking engagements at schools and whatnot. Like I say, I do trainings with them. I just don't do basic training. Trying to see if this is actually turning on now. What I need to do is actually get some patches made up for myself. Um, my only question is, do I get them made up for my store? Do I get them made up for my channel? Like, what do I do here? And what design do I go for here? You see, that's what proper soldering iron does. See how easy it is to melt, how it's pliable and everything? That's real soldering wire, not this horse bullshit dog water piece of shit that I got from Temu or whatever it was, AliExpress. That's actual soldering wire. Soldering. There we go. Kind of decent connection. Doesn't look good because of the fact of the other soldering wire on there, but it'll work for now. Hey, you leave N series out of this. I actually kind of like the N series, damn it. But I have a history of liking what everyone else thinks is shit, so, you know, there's that. I mean, I love Ultra, for God's sakes. Speaking of which, AJ, I have an Ultra for you. What was he rocking with what N series blaster was he using? Let me guess, was he using an Infinite? Because that's what I would use for HVZ, if anything. If you guys will give me a second, I will show you something here, because um, I'm again, I tend to enjoy what other people find to be shitty. So let me go grab something real quick. Let me go grab something real fast because, yeah, where is it? There it is. That's not it. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Set this up right here. Shadow Speed Recon, right? Oh man, it reset itself. And series ain't that bad now, is it? So yeah, all over 100, 122 being the tops, average being about 110. I'll take it. I know that Wallcom broke his because God bless him, but when you try to actually break shit, you're gonna break it. Thank you. You see? So, again, if you're gonna try to break something, you're gonna break it. That's why when they were talking about, oh, the Shadow Speed Recon's a horrible blaster, I'm like, you think it's horrible because you didn't get it for free. I'll call Wallcom out on that one. Whenever he says something that's it's horrible, it's because he didn't get it for free. If he got it for free, he tends to say it's the best thing ever. And I will say that to him directly because of the fact that I've seen it on a lot of the blasters that he's reviewed. Again, I respect what he does for the community as a reviewer, but I feel like as a reviewer, you have an obligation to tell the truth when it comes to the review. Now, if the product truly is crappy, you say it's crappy. But I don't think that with the Shadow Speed Recon, just because you you broke it because you were manhandling it, means that it's a crappy blaster. It does have weaker plastic, obviously, yes. Um, but it's not any weaker than Alpha Strike. So, which blaster has the laser fire sound? Oh, Jin Urso. You can actually get them at Containment Crew for $10. They're on clearance. Um, I modded a Jin Urso once. Didn't do very good with the modification. It was a dart shredder. But I know how to mod it. Oh, you bought the last two? Awesome. Well, that's okay because I have the cooler looking one, which is the Cassian Andor one. Same shell, but in blue, has the actual buttstock and the scope on it. Bill, hey man, nice catching on the live. Hope you have a great one. Hopefully you tune in and enjoy the rest of the content. I'm gonna keep the live going while I keep on modding until I get tired, which well probably will be soon. So, all right. Now, hopefully this is charged up enough to keep on soldering for a little bit longer. We'll see. Why do you want me to mod a Chronos? I can do a roundhouse. I just got I actually just got a couple of roundhouses for pretty cheap on eBay. I paid 99 cents for 2 roundhouses. True story. Plus shipping, which was like $7. I have a takedown modded. So if you're serious about that, I have your camera mount for the Strife X to give you. Hmm. Let's take this spring out of here. We're not going to need this, I don't think. Not going to need this one. Let's get that switch spring out of there. Just had that switch. Where did it go? Okay, we can put that right there. All right. That's what we'll do. Always on. So what's the cap on the Gloucester HVZ, if you don't mind me asking, AJ? Do you know? Who's running it exactly? I've never heard of a Spinfire before. Oh, the little fan things. Yeah, I saw a mini one of those the other day at Dollar General for like $5. Slow moving, but they fire really far. Yeah, the big one used to be on sale at Walmart for the longest time, and then they dropped it. Um, yeah, it's kind of funny because I'm in the middle of a review for another Busby Blaster, the Tetra Shot, which is the first time I've ever had a Busby Blaster that was dishonest. Normally, Busby, when they say shoots up to 80 feet, it'll hit 80 feet. Um, I didn't get 80 feet with the Tetra Shot. Even with a tailwind, the most I got out of it was like 75 feet. So I was kind of disappointed, not gonna lie. I was hoping more for it. Um, I mean, it's still cool for what it is. It's one that honestly, I might give it to AJ to use with his kids group. Strife, if you're really wanting one of those Spinfires from AJ, don't worry about it. I'll make it. I'll make it happen. All right, so that's that. Let's get this part here. If only you guys knew somebody with a 3D printer who has a shop that can 3D print stuff that, may even do things as a charity for free because he's cool like that. That you guys support because you guys watch his lives and stuff. I wonder what kind of a person that would be. Now that's crazy talk, right? Cool guys like that don't exist. They're not real. I can print some ammo as long as a file exists for it. That's the rub. The file has to exist. If the file exists, I can print it. You guys find the file, I'll print out the ammo. That right there needs two little holes, two little buttons. I guess one of these would fit in here. Let's put you in there. Oh, damn it. There we go. Okay, now. But that would have to go like that. So we clip there. Let me find my snips. My flush cutters at? There they are. And that's just a post. So I can only just snip that off right there. And that should just fit right there perfectly. Okay, all right. That will work. All right, see you, AJ. All right, guys. So right now I'm just almost done with this. I just gotta put some putty on here and solder the XT30, and we'll be ready to test some stuff out. Got a little bit of putty left here. I have an entire thing of putty. Good. That'll work. Yeah, I have two of them already. If not, if I didn't have two, I'd probably buy another one right now. But I can't justify it. I don't do enough with Rival. You know, I might get it just to get an extra banana mag, to be honest. But I can't justify it. I'm kind of mourning the fact that we're not seeing any more Rival blasters anymore. Rival is officially dead. A victim of Hasbro, putting all of their eggs in the N1 basket. Anyone who wants to hate N series because of that can hate it. That'll give them a reason to hate it, because the fact that N series killed Rival. Also, it turns out, from what I've heard, N series is also the reason why Mega XL never went anywhere. There were more designs for Mega XL blasters that never saw fruition because they shifted focus to N series. That is what reporting has come out from those in the know where the decisions are made. Yeah, so Minecraft could live, Rival did have to die. Only Minecraft is not going to live much longer, apparently. They also lost Fortnite, which, I mean, that's no big loss, to be honest, but they did lose Fortnite, too. Okay, now. All right, so to do this, we can do one of two things. I could either Dremel a hole or remove the entire battery tray. Let's take a look at the way this is. Let me screw some things in here real quick, and then we'll re-examine. I hope they make Overwatch 2 blasters because I was a big fan of the Overwatch series for Rival. I hope that they make Overwatch 2 blasters because I think that'd be cool. And even if they made them as N series, that would be fine too. Because N series, at least the performance in N series matches closer to what Rival was supposed to be. So I'd be okay with that if they match Rival or match Rival numbers. I mean, a Soldier 76 N series based art, blaster would be pretty cool. Oh, let's be honest here. If they were to do I mean, yeah, I could probably get away with that. I need to keep the screw there. I would need to snip all of. Oh no. No, I can't take out the entire battery tray because of the fact that the holder is right there for the door. So I can't take out the entire battery tray. But what I can do is dribble out a lot of it. Let's get to work. Where'd you hear about Overwatch 2, if you don't mind me asking? Because I've not heard about anything about Overwatch 2 yet. And is that going to be like a limited series or is it going to be like wide release? Because that's part of the problem that I've been having with some of the Hasbro stuff is that they switch to limited, which means that it's overpriced. And I'm not about that life, to be honest. Even though I have several of the limited blasters, I managed to score really good deals on them. Ow. I mean, I think that the most I've paid for any of the limited blasters has been at the most $60. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 of them. No, 7 of them, actually. 2 aliens, the Mandalorian, Boba Fett. I have the Jinx, and I have 2 of the the Halo Needlers. Okay, all right. So they're probably gonna do an N1 dart, which is cool. That's fine. I'll take an N1 Overwatch blaster. I haven't played a lot of Overwatch lately, so I'm glad that they're or Overwatch 2 lately. I have an account. I've my kid loves playing as Reaper. See, I want to get the Ace of Spades blaster. Um, I might eventually do that later on. I mean, I know Bungie still sells it. Oh, that's what I also have. Galahorn. I have 2 of Galahorn actually. One complete. The other one's missing the handle. Okay. I guess I can Dremel that, cut holes, and then snip. Or I can just snip from here. Yeah, I can do that. As long as I just snip that piece and leave that one side attached, that should suffice. So Overwatch is actually kind of fun. It's an interesting FPS. It's not the usual first-person shooter game because each player has a dedicated role, and you can't all be the gunner. The DPS. You need to have a tank. You need to have a healer. It's basically a first-person version of a WoW dungeon, is what it is. And in that sense, it's really fun. It's really you actually have to think as a team. Embrace the jank. There we go. PlayStation 5 is what I had played on. Yeah, PS5 is my console of choice. I know a lot of people like Xbox, but I've been a PlayStation guy ever since the PS4. Um, I switched to Xbox during the 360 the 360 generation. Um, but when Xbox One came out, I stuck with PS4. I just didn't like the interface for the Xbox One and the controller layout for PlayStation. When I finally got a PlayStation 3 and got accustomed to the controller layout there, I was like, you know what, I got to stick with the PlayStation controller. Oddly enough, I'm super old school. My favorite controller that was ever released was for the Nintendo 64. That weird alien looking controller. Gotcha. Well, I mean, Andy, I'll tell you. So, I have a funny story about the PS5. Because when it first came out, obviously you remember that it was limited supply. Um, I was one of those people that camped out at a GameStop for when it was released. When they finally got it in, and I was able to get one because I was the only person that was camping out. I got there at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I waited. The GameStop didn't open until 7 o'clock in the morning. So I got there thinking, okay, they're gonna be arriving. Let me go and camp out to make sure I get one, so I get in line. And I got there and I waited in my car, and I parked my car right in front of the GameStop and waited. Um, I ended up having to pee in a Coke bottle because I didn't want to lose my spot in line. Literally peed in my car in a Coke bottle just to make sure I didn't lose my spot because I was the first person in line. And I made sure that I got the disc version because I was not about to spend money on a console that only allowed me to play digital copies. Screw that. Only to now mainly play PS4 games on my PS5 because I've not been impressed with the PS5 generation games. The only one that's really, you know, caught my eye was Elden Ring, and I didn't actually enjoy it. I will say though, my Wii is one system I will never trade away. I've had many people offer me good money for my Wii because it is first gen. I actually got it the first Christmas it came out, which again there was a shortage. A woman that I was dating bought it for me for Christmas. Um, and yeah, so that's how I got a Wii. But it's first gen. It's the one that plays the GameCube games because obviously the second generation did not. They only played the Wii games. And one of my favorite games of all times, I can play it on the Wii because it's a GameCube game, and that is Eternal Darkness: Sanity's Requiem. I have a couple of stickers on my Wii from one of the games that came, for the Wii that had stickers with it, but nothing bad. It's just, has stickers on it. Um, my Wii though was in mint condition up until I let my child have it in his room, and then he lost the door that covers up the controllers for the the GameCube controllers, the ports. So it's missing that door. But other than that, the Wii functions perfectly fine. I personally think that the Wii is probably the best console that Nintendo's ever made. Um, and I blame, or I say, it's a credit to, um, is it Hijiro? Um, who basically said that his goal in making the Wii was not to be the number one console in the house. He was okay with being the number two console in the house, and that's why they priced it the way they priced it and designed it the way they designed it. And yet it ended up outselling the PlayStation and the Xbox in that generation because they designed a game system that was just fun. I mean, Wii Sports is probably the number one selling game of all time because it came with the console. Yeah, PS3 was I just think that PS3 was kind of a letdown. I wouldn't say shit show. It was a letdown is what it was. Yeah, you had some QA issues with the PS3. Because obviously, PS3 and Xbox 360 both had the same issue, which was the red ring of death. That's at least that's what it was called for Xbox. So you had that issue, which PlayStation had their version of the red ring of death as well. Um, it was just an experimental console. You know, I will say that I believe wasn't it PS3 that was the first one to do Blu-ray, or was that PS4? Now, if I recall right, and I may be wrong about this one. I think PS3 also when it launched, that was the first time that Sony made a really bold claim because the PS3 was much more expensive than any other console in the past, from what I remember. And I want to say that that was when Sony made the claim of we can price it however we want to price it because we're Sony, and our fans are loyal, um, and they'll pay it because we're that good. And then Xbox 360 came out, and they launched they had a couple of tiered versions of it where there was one that was like the play box or the arcade version, which was like not a pro version at all, but it was a basic version of an Xbox 360, and it was so low priced that you could buy that and then buy the upgrades to or the extra peripherals to get to the pro version for less than the cost of the pro version and less than the cost of the PlayStation 3 significantly. So a lot of people went with Xbox 360 because the only thing that you were missing was the expanded internal hard drive and the Ethernet card, the wireless Ethernet card, I should say. All right. Now I'm going to Dremel right here, Dremel a little hole. That way I can feed my wires through and connect my XT30. And then we should be ready to put this thing together. Hey, Bill. So, CR, by the way, I am actually making something for you. FYI. It's going to be 3D printing here. I'm actually making something for yourself and Big Lore. Well, you were interested in one of those laser pistols, were you not? Yeah, so I'm printing one out for because so AJ won the giveaway. Um, I know you had entered, and I told you, hey man, listen, if you don't win it, just send me one of your shirts as payment, and I'll make you one of these. So I wear an extra large, by the way. But I'll be making one of these here for you. I'm actually have to get the one of the parts off of the printer and start the next print for it. Speaking of, let me go ahead and do that. Yeah. Not happy with how this print job came out. I'll have to do some sanding on this one. All right, well, let's redo this. All right. Hmm. Well, whatever you do, whenever, man. That's fine. Just remember me. Where the hell's that soldering mark? Okay. This. Now, a year ago, I would have said a 3XL, but I so do not wear 3XL anymore. All right, guys. Sorry about that. So apparently, there we go. Are y'all there? Can you see me now? I apologize. I had an internet connection issue. So if y'all had to leave, I apologize. I'm still here. I promise. Um, yeah. The answer is yes. This is a desolator. That's what I'm working on, or finishing up, I should say. Wait. That's not what I want to do. Oh man.